Hi, I'm Jim Gibson from the Geoscience Research Institute, and I'm attending a Faith and Science conference in St. George, Utah. And I'd like to talk about how all those animals got in the ark. Was there really enough space for all the animals in the ark, or was this story kind of exaggerated? Well, let's consider first whether each species that we see today needed to be in the ark, or whether there might be some local adaptations and variations that all came from a common ancestor. Well, when we look at the way animals are distributed around the world today, we see that there are varieties of animals that look very similar in different habitats in different places. And it seems very likely that these animals were not created in that spot, but they have dispersed from the ark and settled into different habitats, but not each one coming from the ark separately. Some created form, some created type was in the ark and spread out into the different habitats. So now we ask ourselves, how many kinds of animals are there that needed to be accommodated into the ark? If not every variety, then maybe every family. A family would be a group of animals like the cattle, the deer, the dogs, the bear family, the camel family, and so there are many others. Well, how many families are there? Well, that's a good question. That depends on which families you want to count. Do we need to include the penguins and the whales and the fish? No. If you read the story of the ark, the Bible tells us that the animals that went into the ark had two characteristics. They walked on the land, and they had the breath of life in their nostrils. In other words, they're terrestrial, walking on land, and they had the breath of nostrils, which means they're vertebrates, terrestrial vertebrates. So Noah didn't need to worry about things like mosquitoes and starfish and crayfish. He had to accommodate things like elephants and birds of many kinds, and probably some reptiles too, the creeping things, maybe lizards and snakes. Well, if we include all the families of mammals, birds, and reptiles, all the terrestrial families of those, how many do we have? Well, it depends a little bit on, scientists don't all see things exactly the same way, but there's about 300 families, something like that. So what we need in the ark is enough space for 300 families. Well, those who have looked at the size of the ark realize that it's plenty big enough for 300 families. The ark had more than enough space to provide a refuge for representatives of all the terrestrial families, which then, after the flood, dispersed from the ark and settled the land. So there was plenty of space in the ark.